Hello everyone, it's me, Anton from the Anton Adams channel, and welcome to my very long delayed review of Banjo-Tooie for the Anton Review series. Now before we begin, I'd like to apologise that this review took so long to do. Because you'll see why in this review, but yeah, it's basically 3 weeks late and this is the final one I'm going to do this year. So without further ado, stay tuned to see what I think of Banjo-Tooie. It's basically the sequel to the Nintendo 64 original, which I also reviewed on my channel if you're curious about it. It basically carries on with the same footsteps as Banjo-Kazooie, but it does so much more. And when I mean so much more, I mean so much more. It feels like an open world game at times, and that's saying something. It basically begins right after the last game did, because Grunty's still trapped under the rock and her assistant Klungo is still trying to free her. Meanwhile, the main heroes and some other side characters are playing a game of poker, which I'm not sure why they would want to do that. Anyway, then there's this big drilling machine called the Hag 1 that crashes through the corner of Spiral Mountain, where Grunty's sisters, named Minjella and Blob Elder, come to try to get her rescued. And also some very comedic moments right there. They lift the rock from a powerful witch spell while Klungo watches, and with that, Grunty is saved. Although her body, where is it? It was just a bones. Anyway, after some revenge plans, which I'm not going to show because that's spoilers, she builds a machine her sisters build a machine and trap bottle and kill bottles with it, and also something else more shocking. She zombifies King Jingaling, who's basically the king of the Jinjo village. Not only that, but she stops her rhyming, which I personally never found annoying. I just found it fun, but it might be a bit disappointing to some people, especially because it made her one of the most distinct characters in the original game. And yeah, also take a look at this massive blaster, the B.O.B. Why is it even called that? Anyways, so then after all that story, you'll go to the Jinjo village and then just progress with normal Banjo stuff. You'll pick up the same items as before, and you'll even have the same moves as you had before. It's pretty simple from there. And yeah, all the same enemies, all the honeycombs, and you can attack them the same way, all that stuff. Luckily, before his zombification, King Jingaling told you where to go next, and then you'll end up near this temple. Wait, hold on, that's spoiler material. Anyways, you end up with this temple for King Master Jiggy Wiggy, sorry if it's a bit hard to pronounce, and then you basically complete puzzles to open new worlds, such as this one, Cloud Cuckoo Land. Very strange, there's no cuckoo clock, but there is a bird, and she wants to race you. I'm just making sure, because I tried it once, I nearly got my fingers mashed. Anyways, there's also some collectible notes to find, and also jiggies to collect from all sorts of objectives. Like this one right here, where you have to shoot flies from this cow, and she wants to get rid of her garden. You also learn new moves all the time from Bottle's drill sergeant brother, Jam Jars. He takes on this game's rhyming duties, so for all the rhyming fans out there, you can still listen to some rhymes as well, if you really want to do that. And then you can also interact with other people as well, like this guy, Officer Anugapaz, who's basically in charge of the Stony Kickball games. And also, yeah, you can also get into the hole where Grunty fell down previously. A nice little Banjo-Kazooie reference right there. After a few more of that story stuff, you'll end up in the ILO Hags, and it's basically a sort of hub world area outside of the Jinjo village. And all sorts of worlds are there for your taking. There's Jolly Roger's Lagoon, which is a massive underwater maze. There's Glitter Gulch Mine, the Witchy World amusement park, and lots more. And you'll get them by completing these puzzles, which honestly is way better than having to do all the pressing buttons stuff in the original game. However, there is one big issue that makes this game a bit less fun than the original: backtracking. You'll have to do a lot of backtracking to points just to get the jiggies, and honestly, it is the reason why it took 3 weeks to play this game. It's really annoying sometimes. Especially when you can see the Jiggy right there and all the other rewards, you feel like you've accomplished something and you need to get there as soon as possible. But then you end up getting blocked off by this road wall or something, and then you can't get it. Also, this world is massively interconnected, which is an improvement over the other game. You can get there with all sorts of ways, like this train called Chuffy, which I'll tell you how to get it later. You can also find Gingos as well, but instead of just flying away and you get Jiggies from them, they actually end up going to houses. They also invented these other creatures called Minjos. It may look like Gingos at first, but we'll look at the difference. They move around erratically, whereas the Gingos just stay still, and you can easily defeat them with all sorts of moves, like the golden feathers, and eggs throwing, and all sorts. There's even some instances of fun multiplayer mini-games as well, like this kickball tournament, and the mine killing thing. That's what I call it. I know it has an official name. The worst one in my opinion was the Saucer of Peril ride. That one was the worst one because you had to do a lot of careful aiming. But these mini-games are a fun time, and they're not too bad because I still prefer Mario Party mini-games to them. One thing this game does have that I find kind of annoying though is boss fights. In the original game there were these stronger enemy encounters that weren't too bad, but these boss fights take a learning curve, especially Old King Cole, Target Zan, and the fire dragons, or there's one fire, one ice, and they are really annoying to deal with sometimes. You have to learn all sorts of patterns, and it can be a bit of a stress. Although this one, the Weldar boss fight, actually wasn't that bad. Plus, I kind of get the story behind it as well. But yeah. And also, in the brand new edition, you're able to split the duo up at points, and each of them will have their own solo moves, which you can also get taught by Jam Jars, which is Boswell's brother, in case you still aren't listening or anything. Yeah. For example, Banjo here can just jump into his pack and swim across the water, or not swim. And Kazooie can do all these flying moves as well. You can even fly around without the fly pad, which is actually quite good because you don't need to waste all those red feathers as well. Like, look at Kazooie's flying action here. It's very impressive. Well done. You're even able to play as Mumbo Jumbo as well. He can basically do all sorts of magic spells. Well, you're not really seeing anything right now, but he has his own way of attacking enemies. Basically, you get some Globo creatures, which I'm not going to show because that'll be spoilers, and then you can pass him to Mumbo, he'll become playable, and then you do all these magic spells too. Some of them are really amazing as well. Like, you could lift a golden Goliath out of the ground, you could give life to aliens, you could unfreeze a Saberman, who is actually a classic Rare reference to a 1984 game they used to make. Well, yeah, before it was called Rare. Like, look at this golden Goliath just kicking everything. And also, the Jiggies are there as well, but they got rid of the Jiggy animation. Not really too much of a big deal, but a little unfortunate as well. Like, seriously, imagine getting rid of this. Oh well, changes have to be done, I guess. As well as the main game as well, you can even play all the mini-games you find across in the story mode, and you can play them with multiple players. Well, I guess you could, if you had an N64. Anyways, there are many different minigames to play, like the Tower of Tragedy quiz, where you can be Mumbo Jumbo, Jam Jars, Banjo-Kazooie, or Humba Wumba, who is the transformation person now, and you can just play them whenever you want with multiple players, which could greatly increase some replayability. You can also replay all the minigames you've done in the story mode, and you can basically try to get better scores. Like this one here, with one person and another person trying to shoot each other, which honestly is probably one of the best things you can do on the N64 right now. Just saying. If you have it, at least. I mean, they got discontinued years back, or whatever. There's also this one where you can explore different tunnels together, and maybe burn the other player or something. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, while Banjo-Tooie may not be as good as Banjo-Kazooie, especially because it took me so freaking long to finish it, it's still a really good game worthy of your attention. I think more people need to try it out and just see how good it can be, even though it will never be as good as the first one, I'm just saying. Overall, I'm happy to give Banjo-Tooie the score you're about to see very soon. I hope you enjoyed this review, and stay tuned for 2020 for more reviews coming up soon. Until then, this is me, Anton, signing off. Goodbye.